Welcome to studyhigh.pk and subscribe keep in contact for more videos and lectures. Today I am going to start our next lecture of chapter lipids, medical biochemistry, glycolipids and its very important and very conceptual type gangliosides. Tay-Sachs disease and Gaucher's disease, different type of diseases related to this topic. In last lecture, we have studied about the different types of phospholipids, their structure, their occurrence, their function, and different types of diseases related to them in human body. Let's start today's lecture. First of all, I want to explain why glycolipids are also called glycosphingolipid, or what is the basic structure of glycolipid and how it is different from other type of lipid. As you know, if you remember my first lecture, I explained you there are two basic components that involve in formation of lipid. Or for formation of lipid, two important components that are required is fatty acid and alcohol that are connected through a bond, ester bond. And lipids, we define lipids as the esters of fatty acid and alcohol. In case of complex lipid, there is also a third component that may be phosphate in case of phospholipid, but in case of glycolipid, the third component that involved in formation of this lipid is carbohydrate. As I have explained you in first lecture, that this is the difference between the other types of phospholipids and this, that the third component that involved in formation of complex lipid is carbohydrate in addition to fatty acid and alcohol. And the second important thing that you must remember is the alcohol that involved in formation of glycolipid in almost all the cases is sphingosine, and the structure of sphingosine I have explained you in lecture 4 when I discussed the structure and functions of sphingomyelin. Now I am going to revise its structure. The carbon third of sphingosine is connected with an hydroxyl group, and on other side it connected with a sphingosine tail that is unsaturated. It consists of a double bond between its 13 and 14 carbon. Sorry, not 13 but 14 and 15 carbon. These two carbons of sphingosine tail consist of a double bond unsaturated, and there is a 13 carbon alkyl group. This is the configuration or situation of different types of bonds that are elements that are connected with carbon third of sphingosine. At carbon 2 in case of sphingomyelin and also in case of glycosphingolipid. It is connected with SD group, but it connects through amide linkage, not through O-glycosidic bond as happen in other type of lipids. So this is the difference between other types of glycerol phospholipid and glycosphingolipid, that at carbon 2 it is connected with acid through an amide linkage, whereas at carbon 1 it connects with phosphate group in case of sphingomyelin, but in case of glycolipid it is further connected with different types of carbohydrate that may be monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, or different types. I want to explain you how this glycosphingolipid is present in the cells of our human body. Mostly it is associated with nervous system and different types of cells, and some gangliosides or glycosphingolipids also present in kidney cells as well. So these two tails, the sphingosine tails that are connected with sphingosine tail and fatty acid, these embedded to are embedded in our cell membrane, the outer membrane of cell, whereas the carbohydrate unit that is connected with carbon third is present outside, and it interacts with the extracellular matrix, can act as an antigen, and it can also act as a receptor for the different type of toxins like bacterial toxins, cholera toxins. These toxins can bind with this receptor. So this carbohydrate that may also be connected with different type of N-acetyl neuronamic acid and different types of acidic group. So this carbohydrate is present outside the cell and interact with extracellular matrix and can be act as a receptor and also act as a antigen for recognition of blood group system as it performs its role in glycolipids in glycoproteins. This is a situation in which the glycosphingolipids are present in our nervous system and different type of cells. The tails of sphingosine are connected or embedded in the outer membrane of or cell membrane, whereas the carbohydrates are present in the extracellular matrix. These are the carbohydrates which can act as an antigen, as a receptor, also involved in blood group system or as an antigen for blood group system of the body. Depending on the nature of carbohydrate that is connected at carbon 1 of sphingosine, we divide the glycolipids into two types on the basis of their pH at the whether their pH is neutral or acidic. Mostly two types of glycolipids are present in human body. One is neutral and second are acidic glycolipids. Now we will discuss the difference between the neutral and acidic glycolipids. Acidic glycolipids show a little acidic nature at the physiological pH, and we further divide acidic glycolipids on the basis of the nature of group that is present in acidic glycolipid that is responsible for giving the compound a acidic nature. There are two types of acidic glycolipids. One is sulfatide and second is gangliosides. The simplest neutral glycolipids are called cerebrosides, in which the carbohydrate that is connected at carbon 1. Here, the carbohydrate is connected at carbon 1 of this sphingosine or this glycosphingolipid is glucose or galactose. If only glucose or galactose is connected at carbon 1, you know I have explained in detail what is the difference between the structure of glucose, galactose, its alpha beta nature. In glucose at carbon 4, the hydroxyl group is projected downward, whereas in galactose it is projected upward. Whatever. So in cerebrosides or neutral lipids, only glucose, galactose, these things are present and they are neutral at physiological pH. If someone asks you what is the most simplest glycosphingolipid, so cerebroside, which consists of glucose or galactose at carbon 1, is the most simplest glycosphingolipid, and this component, this whole structure other than carbohydrate containing, as I have also explained you in previous lecture, the sphingosine that is connected with acid. Fatty acid and sphingosine both combine and form ceramide. Ceramide is equal to fatty acid and sphingosine, and ceramide is further connected with carbohydrate to form glycosphingolipid. So this structure is a ceramide. In case of sphingomyelin, this is the ceramide that connect with phosphate group and results in formation of sphingomyelin. So you must remember the structure fatty acid and sphingosine together called ceramide. In next lecture or in next discussion, we will use this term ceramide in short to represent this whole structure, the sphingosine tail that is connected through amide linkage with this acetyl or with this fatty acid. Neutral glycosphingolipids or neutral glycolipids consist of a ceramide that is connected with glucose or galactose, and the number of glucose or galactose may be more than one, but only glucose or galactose are present in neutral glycosphingolipid. And sometimes what will happen if this is a structure of glucose that is connected with different type of hydroxyl and hydrogen groups, sometimes the group that is called acetyl group can form a bond with any hydroxyl group of this glucose. Like this is an acetyl group. When it reacts with the hydroxyl, of glucose or galactose, what will happen? This hydroxyl with one hydrogen from this compound, a water molecule will be removed, and this bond, this compound will react with this glucose by forming an glycosidic bond. I have explained you in chapter carbohydrate two types of bond, N-glycosidic, O-glycosidic. So the addition of this group results in a little change in name and function of this compound. A new compound that forms is called N-acetyl glucosamine. This is the structure of N-acetyl glucosamine. An N-acetyl group can also be bound with the galactose. Then we will see N-acetyl galactosamine and other important monosaccharide. As I have explained you, a carbon 9 monosaccharide called neuronamic acid. It is very important. First I want to show you the structure of neuronamic acid. It formed by a combination of a pyruvate molecule and mannose, and that overall 9 carbon monosaccharide that is acidic in nature and is a component of salicylic acid or salicylic acid. The most important component of salicylic acid family is neuronamic acid that involved in formation of different types of gangliosides, and its role is also very important in receptors system and different types of cell signaling and cell recognition process. This is the structure of neuronamic acid. It consists of a COOH at carbon 1 and the 3 carbon glycerol-like molecule or addition that make it differential from other types of monosaccharide is that it consists of a 3 carbon glycerol-like addition of 3 carbons that are connected with the hydrogen and hydroxyl group, and total 9 carbons are present in this monosaccharide. It is a structure of neuronamic acid that is present in almost all types of gangliosides and give gangliosides and its acidic nature, whereas in sulfatides a sulfate group cause the compound to show acidic nature at physiological pH, whereas in gangliosides it is neuronamic acid that cause this ganglioside to show acidic pH at pH scale. Like glucose and galactose, sometime what will happen? This acetyl can also be bound with any carbon of this neuronamic acid. As a result, what will happen? An other acetyl group has been added at some position of neuronamic acid. Then we will call it is N-acetyl neuronamic acid. Like glucose, when converted into this form, then we say N-acetyl glucosamine. This is amine, this is acetyl. If neuronamic acid is also connected or bind with this compound, then we will say N-acetyl neuronamic acid. This is the structure of N-acetyl neuronamic acid that is also connected with N-glycosidic bond with a hydroxyl group at neuronamic acid. N-acetyl neuronamic acid is short form NANA, is present in almost all type of gangliosides and give them the acidic nature. So neutral glycolipids or glycosphingolipids only consist of ceramide that is only connected with glucose or galactose or N-acetyl galactosamine or N-acetyl glucosamine. No other acidic group. In case of acidic glycosides, first we will discuss sulfatide, then we will discuss gangliosides, and at the end we will discuss the diseases. In case of sulfatide, the galactose that is connected with ceramide is sulfated, or a sulfate group has been added with the carbohydrate monomer of glycosphingolipid. In sulfatide, this is a ceramide that is present in all type of gangliosides, glycosphingolipids, sphingomyelin. It connects with carbohydrate through O-glycosidic bond, and this is a structure of galactose that consists of hydroxyl group that is projected in upward direction in carbon 4. On carbon 3, it consists of a hydroxyl group that is present at carbon 3 of this galactose. In case of sulfatides, this hydroxyl group has been sulfated and converted into SD group, and an enzyme called sulfotransferase involved in this process, or an enzyme called sulfotransferase from a source. Just assume this is a source, mostly PESA. PESA mean phosphoadenosine phosphosulfate, and this is a sulfate group, and an enzyme called sulfotransferase causes the transfer of sulfate group from this compound on the carbon 3 of galactose that is connected with glycosphingolipid or ceramide of glycolipid. As a result, this bond that is initially connected with hydroxyl has been sulfated, and now it is connects with sulfate group because of action of sulfotransferase. In this process or in this way, sulfatides are formed. They are mostly present in nervous tissue and in kidney. The most important thing that you must remember about sulfatides that are acidic glycolipids: first thing, they are acidic in nature. Second thing, a sulfate group has been added on the galactose that is connected with ceramide, and sulfate group that is connected is done, or this process, or they are formed by the action of sulfotransferase enzyme that cause the transfer of sulfate group from some carrier to the carbon 3 of galactose. In case of gangliosides, the carbohydrate is further connected with at least one N-acetyl neuronamic acid. At least one N-acetyl neuronamic acid should be present in formation of gangliosides. This is the basic difference between ganglioside and in sulfatide. Sulfatides are acidic in nature because of addition of a sulfate group, whereas gangliosides are acidic in nature because of addition of N-acetyl neuronamic acid. And why we call them ganglioside? Because they are first isolated from the ganglia of the cells, from the ganglia of neurons. So first of all, the gangliosides are abstracted from the ganglions, which are the collection of cell bodies. That's why we say them gangliosides, or the scientists who discovered them in 1791 approximately give these compounds who are derived from ganglia of our nervous system as gangliosides. Naming of ganglioside. How we name different type of gangliosides, or how different type of gangliosides can be differentiated from each other. First of all, we give every ganglioside a common name G. G mean ganglioside. Second, on the basis of number of N-acetyl neuronamic acid. If in a compound only one N-acetyl neuronamic acid is present, then we will say it is monocyanoganglioside or mono N-acetyl. Mono mean, then we will write M. If only one N-acetyl neuronamic acid is present in any ganglioside, then we will write M. This is a shorter form or nomenclature of ganglioside. If two neuronamic acids are present in the compound, then we will say di. If three, tri. If four, then quattro. So this is the nomenclature of ganglioside, and they can further be separated by using a chromatography process. Through the chromatography process, they have also given the different type of numbers 1, 2, 3. So this is the nomenclature of ganglioside. Now we are going to study the structure of different type of gangliosides, their function, their breakdown and diseases. This is the formula or structure of a ganglioside. This is ceramide, that is common to all type of phospholipids or sphingolipids, all type of sphingolipids, sphingomyelin and glycosphingolipid. Its carbon 1 is first connected with glucose. This glucose is further connected with galactose, and this galactose on carbon number 4, or on from one carbon through hydroxyl group of one carbon, it is connected with an acetyl neuronamic acid, and on other carbon it is connected with another galactose that also contain an acetyl. N-acetylgalactosamine. This N-acetylgalactosamine is further connected with another galactose monomer. Total 3 galactose are present in this compound and 1 glucose, whereas only one N-acetyl neuronic acid is present. So will be the name of this compound? First of all, it is ganglioside because it consists of N-acetyl neuronic acid. We will write G because it is ganglioside. So according to nomenclature, first you will write G. The second name is how many N-acetyl neuronic acid are present in this compound. Total 1, so mono, GM. And on the chromatography technique, because we cannot perform here, its number is given 1. This is GM1 ganglioside. This is the ganglioside which can also act as a receptor for Callida toxin. So now I am going to show you how degradation occurs. What is the basic rule? First of all, you must know these N-acetyl or different type of glycosphingolipids are produced in the Golgi apparatus of our cell, whereas these are broken down into different enzymes that are present in lysosomes. So lysosomes are the sites that involve in breakdown of these enzymes. If this is the lysosome that consists of different type of enzyme that involve in breakdown of a specific ganglioside. If there is absence of a definite enzyme, what will happen? These gangliosides which are being producing in normal rate, they are continuously produced but are not be broken down into their component. What will happen? There will be accumulation of a large amount of gangliosides or different types of glycosphingolipid in the cell. As a result, this cell will enlarge and neurodegenerative problem, a lot of problems, seizures also occur. So what is the rule on the basis of which lysosome cause the degradation of these glycosphingolipids or gangliosides? This is the rule according to which lysosomes cause the breakdown or degradation of ganglioside. Last on first off, the group that is connected with this compound at the last, at the end, will be broken first, and the remaining compounds or remaining groups will be broken or degraded at the last. For example, for production of GM1, ceramide will be first sphingosine and fatty acid will combine with each other to form ceramide. Then the glucose will be connected at carbon 1. After addition of glucose, our Golgi apparatus will cause the addition of galactose with this glucose through O-glycosidic bond. This galactose addition then further be added with N-acetyl galactosamine. Sorry, first galactose will add N-acetyl neuronic acid and then N-acetyl galactose will be added, and at last galactose monomer will be added. So which component has been added at the last? Galactose. It has added to this compound for production of ganglioside at the last. So what lysosome do? Lysosome cause the breakdown of first the last component that has been added at the last. So first we need to break this linkage so that galactose has been removed and the remaining component will be broken down into different pieces according to different enzymes. So the breakdown or for removal of this galactose from this compound, the enzyme that is used by our lysosomes is beta galactosidase. This enzyme is needed for the breakdown or for the breakdown of the bond between the N-acetyl galactose or for removing galactose from this GM1. When this galactose has been removed, the remaining component is the structure of GM2, but beta galactosidase enzyme is needed for the removal of this galactose. If due to some deficiency or mutation in the DNA of our body, this beta galactosidase cannot perform its function or it cannot cause the breakdown of GM1 into GM2. there will be accumulation of GM1 into the lysosome and our cell automatically. The accumulation of GM1 will cause a disease that we call GM1 gangliosidosis. GM1 gangliosidosis. What is the cause of this disease? The cause of this disease is the deficiency of beta galactosidase, because this enzyme is needed for the breakdown or for the removal of galactose from GM1. When there is no removal of galactose from this compound, the breakdown of other component is also be prohibited by the other enzymes. So first we need to remove the last component or the last monomer that has added at the last during the formation of GM1. So GM1 gangliosidosis occurs when there is deficiency of beta galactosidase. But in normal conditions, beta galactosidase is present and it causes the breakdown or removal of galactose from this compound, which is called GM1. When galactose has been removed from this component, the remaining component is called GM2. This is the structure that is left behind after removal of galactose from this compound GM1. This is called GM2 because first it is a ganglioside, second it also consists of only one N-acetyluronic acid. That's why M mean mono, and 2 because on chromatography technique or chromatography paper it can cover more distance as compared to GM1. If GM1 value on chromatography technique is 1, it can cover more distance and give us a value 2. That's why we say GM2. So why it can travel more? Because it has smaller size and a galactose molecule has been removed and it has one monomer less than that of GM1. So no lysosome need to remove second component. So which component should be removed? No. To cause the breakdown of GM2 in our cell. No, we have to remove the component that has added before galactose. N-acetylgalactose should be removed. For removing N-acetylgalactose, we need an enzyme called beta-hexoaminidase A. This enzyme is needed for the breakdown or for the removal of N-acetylgalactosamine from this compound. So beta-hexoaminidase is needed for this compound or for the removal of N-acetylgalactosamine. Hexo means it is 6 carbon ring. Aminidase, it consists of amino and acetyl group, and hexoaminidase is required for the breakdown of the bond between galactose and N-acetylgalactosamine or for the removal of. When this compound has been removed, the remaining component that left behind is ceramide, that is connected with glucose and galactose and N-acetyluronic acid. And this N-acetylgalactosamine has been removed because of the action of beta-hexoaminidase that is also present in our lysosomes. What happens if there is a mutation in our DNA or there is a deficiency of this beta-hexoaminidase? As a result of deficiency of this beta-hexoaminidase in our nerve fibers or in our myelin sheath, there will be accumulation of GM2. The accumulation of GM2 is also very dangerous for our health. It can cause a number of diseases, like it can also cause degeneration of our neurons, it can cause blindness, muscular weakness, and this disease is called Tay-Sachs disease. If someone asks you what is the Tay-Sachs disease, it is the accumulation of ganglioside. Which ganglioside? GM2. Why this occurs? Because our body or our lysosomes has or feel deficiency of beta-hexoaminidase. Beta-hexoaminidase enzyme deficiency or mutation will result in accumulation of GM2 in the neuron fibers of our cell. As a result of accumulation, they will increase in size. When their size increase, the conduction of impulses or the normal functioning of our neurons will be disturbed. When their normal functioning will be disturbed, then it will result in a number of diseases, neurodegeneration, muscular weakness, seizures, etc. And this disease is called Tay-Sachs disease. you must know what is the cause of Tay-Sachs disease. Accumulation of GM2. Why there is accumulation of GM2? Because of deficiency of beta hexoaminidase in our lysosomal enzymes. Know what the compound left behind. After removal of N-acetyl-galactosamine, the compound that is left behind is ceramide, that is connected with glucose, galactose and N-acetyl neuronamic acid. No, this compound is called GM1. Why it is called GM1? Sorry, not GM1, GM3. Why it is called GM3? First of all, because it is a ganglioside. That's why we write G. Second, it is mono. It contains only one N-acetyl neuronamic acid. That's why we say M. And third, because it covers more distance on chromatography paper as compared to GM2 and GM1. That's why we say that it belongs to GM1 family. So this is the name of GM3. There is mistakenly galactose is connected with NANA, N-acetyl-neuronamic acid, not glucose. So the next component that should be removed by the lysosomal enzyme is N-acetyl-neuronamic acid. For causing the removal of this N-acetyl-neuronamic acid, there is another enzyme, and that enzyme is called neuraminidase that can remove the N-acetyl-neuraminic acid. After removal of N-acetyl-neuraminic acid from this compound, what is the remaining portion that left behind is ceramide and glucose that is further connected with galactose. Ceramide, glucose, galactose. No, we cannot say it is ganglioside. It is not a ganglioside because N-acetyl-neuraminic acid has been removed from it. That's why we cannot say it is no more ganglioside. No, it is neutral, and it is neutral glycosphingolipid that consists of a ceramide, a glucose and a galactose. So this is what left behind. For its further breakdown, we need again another enzyme that can remove galactose. If you remember my previous discussion, you must know that which enzyme can remove galactose. Beta galactosidase can remove galactose from these gangliosides or from these glycosphingolipid. So again we need beta galactosidase that can remove the galactose to cause a further breakdown of this compound. As a result, what will left behind is ceramide and glucose. After removal of galactose by using beta galactosidase, ceramide and glucose will left behind. And this is the simplest cerebroside or simplest glycosphingolipid. For further breakdown of ceramide and glucose into ceramide and glucose, we need another enzyme called beta glucosidase. Like beta galactosidase, now we are going to remove this glucose and ceramide. We want to break the relation of ceramide and glucose, and we need an enzyme that can break or extract glucose from this ceramide. And that enzyme that can break the ceramide and glucose from each other is called beta glucosidase. So as a result, we will reach to the basic from where we start is ceramide. Ceramide that first connect with glucose and from form a glycosphingolipid. Then this glucose further connected with galactose and cause the elongation of this carbohydrate chain. Then this galactose further connect with N-acetyl neuronamic acid to form GM3, which is a ganglioside, and this ganglioside can further react with N-acetyl galactose to form GM2, which is another ganglioside, and this N-acetyl galactose can further react with another molecule of galactose, which can result in formation of ganglioside GM1. And to cause a breakdown, the reverse process, first beta galactosidase will cause a breakdown of the bond between N-acetyl galactose and galactose. As a result, we will reach back to GM2. In GM2, ceramide is connected with glucose. This glucose is further connected with galactose. This galactose is from one side connected with N-acetyl neuraminic acid and on other side it is connected with N-acetyl galactose, and by using beta hexoaminidase, which is needed for the breakdown of this bond. If there is deficiency of beta hexoaminidase, it will result in accumulation of GM2 in the cell of neuron, and the disease from which the patient will suffer is Tay-Sachs disease. But in normal conditions, beta hexoaminidase will cause the removal of N-acetyl galactose, and we will get ceramide glucose galactose, which is called GM3. And for removal of GM3 or for conversion of GM3 into glycosphingolipid, we will result in the neuraminidase enzyme cause the removal of N-acetyl neuraminic acid, and the compound that left behind is ceramide glucose galactose. Again, the beta galactosidase will cause the removal of galactose from this, and the remaining compound ceramide and glucose. And this beta glucosidase cause the further breakdown of ceramide and glucose into ceramide and glucose. If there is deficiency of this beta glucosidase, what will happen? There is accumulation of these cells in the body, and the accumulation of this ceramide and glucose glycosphingolipid will result in another disease, which is called Gaucher disease. If someone asks you what is the cause of Gaucher disease, the accumulation of this cerebroside, which is also a simplest glycosphingolipid, because of deficiency of beta glucosidase enzyme, will result in Gaucher disease. That will result in increase in the accumulation of this glycosphingolipid in the liver and spleen. As a result, their size will be increased. Hepatomegaly, splenomegaly, the size of the liver and spleen will increase in size because of deficiency of beta glucosidase and accumulation of this glycosphingolipid in the liver and spleen. This is Gaucher disease. And Tay-Sachs disease, Gaucher disease. And another enzyme can further cause the breakdown of ceramide into its original component. As you know, ceramide consists of two things. One is sphingosine alcohol and second is fatty acid. Both combine with each other to form ceramide, and ceramidase enzyme can cause a further breakdown of ceramide into fatty acid and sphingosine. So this is a ceramidase enzyme. Now I am going to just revise the whole lecture in the reverse process. First, what happened in our system? Fatty acid and sphingosine combine with each other to form ceramide. Then what will happen? This ceramide is at carbon 1 connected with glucose to form glycosphingolipid, and for ceramide and glucose to cause a further breakdown of this, we need beta glucosidase. This compound in synthetic process in Golgi apparatus further connected with galactose, and this galactose is further connected with N-acetyluronic acid. This synthetic process occurred in the Golgi apparatus of our cell, and this compound is called GM3. This is the structure of GM3 as it consists of one N-acetyluronic acid. This compound galactose further connected with N-acetyl galactosamine, and this compound is called GM2. And this GM2 can further be converted by GM1 into by addition of another molecule of galactose. Total 3 galactose molecules are present in GM1, 2 galactose molecules are present in GM2, whereas 1 galactose molecule is present in GM3. So this is how are different processes that are occurring in our human body or cells. There are two types of glycolipids: neutral glycolipids that consist of ceramide, glucose, galactose, and acetyl galactosamine. 1, 2 or only these components. There is no SD group, whereas in SD glycolipids there are two types: sulfatides that consist of sulfate group at carbon 4 of galactose, whereas ganglioside that consists of at least one N-acetyluronic acid. And this is the common structure of glycosphingolipid. This is today's lecture. In next lecture, we will study in detail the steroids. Hope you best of luck, best wishes, like, subscribe, share, and also subscribe and click on the bell icon to keep in contact for more lectures and videos. Thank you, Allah Hafiz.